Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Today's warehouse needs to keep inventory moving smoothly and quickly. Meet these challenges with on-demand warehouse labeling from Brother Mobile Solutions. Our mobile and industrial printers will help optimize your operations to achieve the speed, reliability, and durability your warehouse needs. With easy integration for existing warehouse technology, convenient portability, and upfront affordability, Brother Mobile Solutions is at your side when it comes to warehouse labeling. Try one for free today by visiting brothermobilesolutions.com/new warehouse or click the link in the show notes. That's brothermobilesolutions.com/new warehouse to try one for free today.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast here at ProMat 2023. I'm in the booth, joined by Nick D'Alessio of Brother Mobile Solutions. We're going to talk to Nick today about Brother Mobile Solutions, what they're seeing at the show, talking about the modernization of the warehouse and how Brother is helping to accomplish that as well. So Nick, first off, welcome to the booth.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having us.
Definitely. Happy to have you guys in here. Happy to learn more about Brother. But first, let's hear, how's it going? We're day 3 here at ProMat, so how's it going for you guys?
It's going really well.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely post-pandemic. I think there's a lot of people that are ready to get back, have discussions about projects. We've had a lot of great discussions, I'd have to say. Less curious people and more people about, I need this is what I'm working on, we want to move forward. So it's very encouraging to see the investment, in spite of all the challenges that may be out there.
Right, yeah, and I'm curious, actually, as an interesting point where I'm saying I'm curious, but you're saying the attendees are curious, or we're not curious, like they're more in the mindset of, like, this is what I need. Why do you think that's kind of shifted a little bit?
I think my perspective is that the pandemic, of course, shined a light on some of the supply chain opportunities that existed then.
Right.
Many organizations had time during the pandemic to kind of look at their operation, one, and keep it going.
Right.
And then two, look at what do I have to invest to make sure that we're not caught behind the 8 ball next time. And it's complementary to a lot of the discussions we were having pre-pandemic with we're looking at changing our workflows. 5 years ago, I was having conversations with people, warehouse managers that were wanting to, hey, I'm looking at mobilizing my workflows.
Okay.
Back about the time Windows Mobile was declining, Android and iOS were coming up, and so everybody was looking.
Yeah.
And then obviously, as it applied to barcode labeling, it eventually trickled its way to us.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And it's great that I think, in that sense, I guess if we say that the attendee is coming and they're not necessarily curious, I'm sure they're curious, but they're also, like you said, that they want to know. It means that, we're dealing with like a more educated, somewhat a buyer, right, that's coming in. So it's great to see that attendees and potential customers are educating themselves on the industry more, which is definitely a beautiful thing, I think. So you're with Brother Mobile Solutions, right? So tell us a little bit about Brother Mobile Solutions and what it is you guys do.
Yeah, so I always tell people, we're the little brother from the other mother. Many people are familiar with Brother, large company. Maybe some people that are maybe as old as I am remember Brother typewriters.
Okay.
Certainly Brother printers, office equipment, maybe sewing machines.
Right.
We're actually a 13-year-old division of Brother that is based in Colorado that is strictly thermal printing, barcode labeling, and ticketing. So we focus on label.
Right.
So, we're involved in many aspects of warehousing and adjacent supply chain industries. We deliver a lot of beer and a lot of oil. This is what we do, and we help people track things in warehouses.
All right, great. And I think what you do is, I mean, the label is, I mean, it's a critical part of what we do in the warehousing industry. So being able to get that label and provide that label, you guys are critical to making that happen, right? So tell us a little bit about, what are some of the challenges that we're seeing in the warehousing, manufacturing space, and, just in general, but also maybe some of the challenges you're hearing that people are bringing to the show here.
So at the most basic level, and where Brother really helps the industry, Brother is known across our businesses as being able to democratize the technology for mainstream businesses to leverage that. And that's no exception in the warehouse. We still have, believe it or not, conversations with Midwestern companies, $100 million businesses that are still using Excel spreadsheets and Sharpies to manage their warehouse.
Yeah.
And so,
That's tough to hear.
Believe it or not, it's still going on, and some of them are leveraging applications that were written back in the COBOL days. The people that wrote those are likely maybe not with us anymore.
Yeah.
And so the ability to move into the modern world of understanding where your stuff is, being able to track and trace it, is driving a lot of conversation. So at the basic level, basically having people move into barcoding, so databases and barcoding. And while it sounds interesting, albeit basic, the barcode is the most basic digital representation of physical items.
Right.
So without the barcode, it becomes hard to put things in databases and track it. So we help people move into that space. At the other end of the spectrum, people who have been doing warehouse management for a time are now starting to reimagine or reinvent their workflows. And again, as I mentioned earlier, they're moving into more of a mobile workflow from a stationary workflow. And that requires technology. Software providers are, of course, moving. We hear about warehouse management moving into the cloud. We hear about label management moving into the cloud. And then we have, again, some of the outflow of COVID was we need people to be able to do their jobs independently.
Okay.
And now we want to be able to work more efficiently. So we want a lot of the work to happen at the point that it's being picked or placed or labeled. Because printing has historically been a centralized activity that happens at the end of the conveyance system or at a centralized cross-docking area. What we're seeing now, people are now wanting to put printers on forklifts, on pallet jacks, wear them or carry them, so that they can now have a smart worker be able to pick, label, pack, and do all these things individually. So that's been good for us in terms of people walking into the booth, not just saying, what do I need to do, but, hey, I need a mobile printer to go on my forklift, or I'm going to be creating 3 more warehouses. Can you help me figure out, how we're going to work with this piece of software?
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a great point, and even I want to take it back there just a second to the barcoding aspect. Where you say, there's still some operations out there. You said, dealing with paper and Sharpie, right? So, I mean, we come to a show like this, and obviously, you walk right in the door, whether it's in the south side or the north hall, and you're hit right away with like the latest technology, right? The robots, the automation. But there are, a lot of people in operations that are still, way behind that. So tell us a little bit about, from your perspective. I mean, if an attendee comes in and they need to, first, work on these barcoding aspects and getting to that point. I mean, what's some advice you would give them there?
So the first thing is really having them understand what it is they're trying to do. What does their workflow look like? Clean sheet of paper. What would you want to be able, or what are you trying to do? For us, in many cases, that pulls in a software discussion. What software are you using, or what software are you currently migrating from that you want to be able to manage? Because obviously this has to be extended into the solution. At the end of the day, we provide a label printer, but a solution is composed of barcode printing, software, labels, and people that come in and help you with mobile devices. And, oh, by the way, you're going to want to manage all of this so you know what's going on. Does it need to be serviced? Is it broken? Where is it? So all of these elements really provide a well-managed, most efficient and optimized warehouse.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a really interesting thing to point out, because we do see, and I think maybe sometimes we get so clouded just seeing like all these like the latest tech and stuff that's out here. So it's important that we maintain those fundamentals as well along the way as we start to get to those things and be able to make sure we put those things in place, because like as you said, the barcode is the way to capture that data at multiple points throughout a facility or operation or the supply chain in general. So it's really, really important to do that. So tell us a little bit about some of the mobile printing solutions that you guys are providing or showcasing here at the show that help you to be able to kind of print those barcodes out or those labels out that help you to carry that data throughout.
Sure. So our legacy business really started outside the four walls in trucks, as I mentioned earlier. So we have a lot of experience in terms of ruggedability, being rugged, being able to withstand weather, heaven forbid, abusive behavior of operators. And so the mobile aspect of the technology we understand well. When we bring it inside the four walls, then obviously it adds a new dimension to it, being able to manage it. So for us, a lot of what goes on in the warehouse revolves around a 4-inch label, 4x6, 4x2, 4x8, what have you. So what we're typically putting on forklifts is one of our mobile 4-inch printers. Brother is unique in that we have a full page, full 8-inch wide, A4, 8.5 by 11, that can do not only just packing lists or pick lists, but can also print labels or a sheet of labels. We're actually, with some of our large customers, mounting the full-page printer on forklifts that are actually going out to the point of picking in. In our own warehouse, we've also, we have a very large warehouse in Tennessee. We've also implemented mobile printing in our own warehouse. So we're kind of eating our own dog food, as it were. Even where we've implemented cobots and following robots in our warehouse, they still have a mobile printer bolted onto them. So when the operator is done picking and binning them, there's a label that prints out, and that travels with it. Again, moving the workflow along in the warehouse with the worker at the point. So that's the focus in what we're showing. We also, of course, have the traditional large industrial high-velocity barcode label printing that we've had for many, many years. A lot of people aren't aware that Brother has that. We have that. We've implemented that, again, in our own warehouse. So yeah, we have a really 2 million square foot warehouse in Tennessee that all the Brother companies leverage, that's running on Brother with robots. And by the way, those robots are powered by Brother Motors. So we have a motor division of the company that's also providing automation into the underbellies of many of these devices.
Very interesting, and it's great to hear too. I think that you, even internally in the Brother solution, that you're embracing the same kind of ethos that you're putting out to the customer as well, in that mobility. And I think that mobility is such a key. And I saw the 8.5 by 11 printer, mobile printer, which I think is like so. I just think that's so cool. Maybe that's very nerdy of me, but I think it's very cool. And but with that mobility and talking to people here on the podcast and ProMat, one of the big challenges certainly is labor, right? That is out there. People are trying to figure out how do they optimize the workforce that they have and retain them, because they're having trouble getting people and hiring people. So tell us a little bit about how the mobile solutions that you provide kind of help to work on those types of labor issues.
Yeah, so again, the mobility is key. The younger, newer workforce certainly is familiar with mobile devices. Many of them are digital natives. They've grown up using these devices. Many of the applications in the warehouse that were maybe running on some very old operating systems now run on Android or now run on iOS. And so making those software packages and functionalities user-friendly, little to no training required, knowing how to use the devices, I think that's helping trained workforce when they come in to be able to use those devices. So I think the mobility aspect of it is kind of a natural thing for them. Yeah, so I think, working closely with the software partners, that many people aren't aware that, iOS and Android don't natively print. That's something that has to be added. So again, working with the software partners so that the user interfaces make printing and the mobility aspect, easy and painless. The mobility aspect, now that you're moving around, you no longer have a stationary device that if it breaks, you know where it's at. Now you need to track and manage devices that are roaming around an ecosystem that may have a print head that needs to be cleaned, or they're running low on paper, or they're finally out to 500 cycles on the battery, and now they're going to need to replace that battery 2 years. Knowing which ones are going to go down, you really don't want it going down in the middle of a shift.
Right.
That requires a worker to stop.
That's not good.
Go back. That's not efficient. And it's important for the users to have confidence in the devices they use. Otherwise, they don't get as proficient with it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think those are all great points. I mean, especially when you talk about, I think first there, bringing in a younger workforce who, like you said, is digitally native, used to all these things. Like you want things that are, user intuitive and easy to adapt and use, like you said, and not create these frustrations with the printers or the mobile things that they're using, because like you said, when that happens and it's not easy to use, like this frustration creeps in, and it's just like, this equipment doesn't work, and then they get tired and they're like, oh well,
they have to have a high success rate, otherwise it becomes a mind block. I don't want to use that, it doesn't work for me, or I have these issues with it. It has to just work. And many software people, many hardware, we try to make it resilient. If they drop it, it's not going to break. If they get mad and throw it, that could change. So dealing with all of these ecosystem, and more specifically the warehouse management or the IT groups that have to maintain this equipment, again, providing a system that's easy to maintain is one way to help make the employees happy, the workers more efficient. So
yeah, absolutely, and I think it's it's a great point, and I think actually we talked about the intuitiveness of the user interface and things like that. I mean, hopefully if we can figure that out, then nobody will get mad enough to throw it against the wall, right?
That's right.
That's one of the key points there too. So if we look at these things and we start to want to implement these things, and obviously anytime we take something mobile, I think it's just an optimization in itself, which goes a long way for those labor issues too, because you're able to increase the productivity of the workers that you do have, and not having them have to, like you said, with the in-half by 11, I think is an awesome example, because usually if you would print a packing list or something like that, you have to go to a stationary printer somewhere.
Right.
You got to take those steps. You got to make sure you get to that, whereas you could print it essentially anywhere. So you could pick that order, get it ready, and right on the dock wherever you land it up, you print that and it's good to go. So I think those types of solutions are great. So when people are thinking about where to start to support this mobility and modernization in their operation, I mean, what are really the big factors that they should consider?
One, it has to be easy to use, right? I think in the warehouse, certainly the ruggedness, I mean, you have concrete floors, you have dusty environments, you have cold, you have hot, so having a device that's perhaps IP54 rated or rated so that it can handle those environments is key. Having systems that can last, if they're going to run on a battery, they can last at least a shift, so somebody's not having to deal with that in the middle of a shift. So having something that, again, that's reliable. I think having the right software that works with that device, and there's a lot of effort that goes into making things user-friendly, trying to anticipate what the user's going to do. Wearables, being able to wear things, automated picking.
Right.
So, the printers, we try to make them light. So if you want to wear them, you can wear them, but they have to be rugged enough still to handle that environment. So key software, ruggedability, low service intervals, I think are all important.
Yeah, I think those are great points, and it definitely is something to consider as you start to go mobile, because I think even though, like we were talking about earlier in our conversation, the digitally native, right, and those things we use every day, could we figure out how to use like a regular iPad or something like that? Yeah, maybe, but it's not necessarily built to take a beating in a warehouse, right? So considering that ruggedability and making sure that you're able to have that toughness is definitely a core thing. So tell us a little bit too, as we look at these environments. I mean, one other thing too, I think that to consider that's important is the connectivity, to be able to connect to these devices when we become mobile. And I know that you guys have multiple options for connecting to the devices. So talk to us a little bit about that and the flexibility that creates.
Yeah. So if depending on the workflow, and again, if a lot of the workflow is happening at the dock or outside the four walls, Wi-Fi might not be the best way to connect, right? Yeah. So we support Bluetooth connectivity, and whether it's Android or iOS, the great thing about Brother is we support both operating environments. So we are, our iOS MFI compliant, so we support that connectivity, standard Bluetooth. But then as that comes inside the four walls, we have dual radio models that will also securely connect to an enterprise level network, whether you're using digital certificates or that security model, or work with the MDM to be able to manage that. It's very important.
Yeah.
So that connectivity and the reliability. So, lost or lower cost implementations maybe don't roam so well, access point to access point.
Right.
We found that our radios perform very, very well in that. They stay connected. So that's very important, at least to the warehouse manager from the implementation standpoint, and from the worker when they press print on the mobile device, they expect a label to come out. If you press print and it's just you're getting this proverbial spinning or hourglass because of a connectivity problem, that's not a good thing either.
Yeah.
So we've been very, very conscious about making sure the connectivity and the roaming is very good on the devices.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point there too about pressing print and expecting something to print. I think that's what we expect, right? So, but having that connectivity issue, but also I think what's important to touch on there is the speed of printing as well, because I think we get into worked in warehouses and you get into such like a flow that it's like print back, print back, print back, print back, right? And you get in this flow, and then all of a sudden there's like a delay in the print or something, and you end up hitting print again, and maybe hitting print again, and then all of a sudden like it spits out the same label 3 times or something. So tell us a little bit about how you focus in your hardware and solutions on the speed of printing and the efficiency of that printing coming out.
Yeah, so all of our latest printers have modern processors in them. They have very, very good graphic renderings. The time to first print, which is usually one of the statistics we work on very hard. So from the time that they receive data from whether it's the WMS system or directly from the handset, to be able to render the first printout happens very, very quickly.
Yes.
I think in bench tests and speed tests, we rate very well there. Being able to put graphics and or other elements into the print at speed is something we perform very well at. That's something we consciously test. I think, in terms of inches per second, that's very important. All of our printers support most of the modern languages that would be used in an existing warehouse. We certainly have SDK implementations that would allow a custom developer to want to do something more targeted.
Right.
But out of the box, they're working configured to work very, very quickly.
Yeah, very interesting, and I think it's such an important thing. And I've used the Brother printers, and I've used other printers too. And I will say that I did notice that some within the same operation, like some of the other printers, certain labels that had more data on it, more information to process, took a lot longer than the Brother, which seemed like no matter how much data or how much information on that was, like it would just print the same speed every time, which is consistent and that's key for the operation.
Yeah, we learned a lot. One of our other businesses we work well in is public safety, so we write a lot of speeding tickets with those same printers. So depending on where you live and where you get pulled over, and we learned that the police officers have to get on and off the side of the street quickly for their safety.
Right.
So a lot of emphasis is focused on quick print, and so I think that bodes well inside the warehouse as well.
Yeah,
I think being able to have that reliability, being able to print, provides a good experience overall.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's such a key to keeping that operation flowing and also reducing those frustrations a little bit on the employees that we talked about earlier. So we've kind of talked about the current state of mobile hardware and printing and where Brother's at, but let's talk a little bit more about the future here. I mean, we are at ProMat, right, and a lot of people here are showcasing what they think the future of our industry might hold. So tell us a little bit about what do you think kind of the future of the warehousing industry holds when it comes to modernization.
So we see the warehouse getting to be, automation is coming. I mean, if you look at the show, certainly the autonomous robots are here, they're coming. Of course, we also supply components to that world, so I see that getting more and more. I think the Internet of Things or the IoT world is really where the ecosystem is growing. We've worked very closely, for example, with SOTI on standardizing the IoT platforms for printers.
Right.
Printers will be looked at as an IoT device as part of an infrastructure. So a printer is as important as a conveyor belt and anything else in the warehouse that has to be monitored, managed, and tracked. So I see automation continuing to move forward. being able to label the printers. Even the bots have to put labels on printers.
Yeah.
So print and apply still has to apply labels on printers, so labels on boxes. So the print engines or the printers, I think, will see more and more integration. I think you'll see more and more print and apply perhaps make its way to the bots. But then even back to our old marker and Sharpie dude, being able to effectively label and manage that, I think it'll be a nice progression. It'll be real interesting to come back here in 5 years and kind of see where the automation and where the innovation has occurred.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to your point there, kind of weaved in there, I mean, the label itself is not going anywhere, right? So it's interesting. It'll be interesting, as you said, to see like how do these kind of automation solutions adapt like these print and apply to boxes and packages that are going out the door or whatever the case may be internally in the warehouse. So really interesting to hear those insights and definitely interesting to touch on the stuff that is Brother Mobile Solutions and the warehouse as a whole. So Nick, I want to thank you so much for coming by the booth and talking to me about all this stuff. If people are interested in learning more about Brother Mobile Solutions, what's the best way to do that?
I think the best way is go to our website, brothermobilesolutions.com. You'll see a complete representation of our product portfolio. They can call us. Believe it or not, we actually do answer our own phone, so you can still call Brother.
Yeah.
Brother will answer the phone and we can have a conversation. One of the things we love to do is we'd love to get a printer in people's hands. If you want to try one, we're not bashful about sending printers out and working to get a demo or a pilot test going.
Yeah.
So definitely reach out to Brother.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I will vouch for that demo because you guys sent me one to try as well, and I really appreciate it. It's a great way to really understand how something can fit into your operation, and I wish more companies would be like that. It's a great program to have. Yeah. So thank you so much, Nick, and we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com, and I hope you enjoy the rest of ProMat.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.